moment.
You too.
You're gonna turn this podcast around.
If you don't cut it out back there, I'm going to give you something to fight about.
That is great.
All right.
Tagging George on
Let's get
Instagram,
the
which is
show
the second
going.
most useless thing I've done today.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
Hilarious. I actually had to open it once.
Renee is ignoring us because he's so famous on Twitter that he can't
So
he can't take a
That's
moment.
true.
I'm
That's
putting the
true.
show on Instagram.
Oh, yay.
Oh, he was being good.
In that case,
But-
never mind.
But yeah.
Lori tweeted it. I'm Instagramming
I
it.
wanna know how many tweets an hour Renee averages.
I don't do a lot.
Oh, he
of it.
probably
I'm doing
doesn't
editing
tweet
now.
out very much.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I've been editing a lot.
Yeah.
Not
I
as much.
watch his Twitter feed not blow up. He has like a moment, like he'll ask a question or he'll make a comment, and then there's like maybe a half an hour where like he's just responding to people being
1,000 people
rude,
because you're so
let's say.
sweet. Oh, are they real? Oh.
you know how it is. And then he just shuts up for the rest of the day. All right, we're gonna start this party. Okay, today is not the September 27th, is it?
Star Wars.
Do, 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 do. Do,
All right.
do,
That's Superman.
Oh.
Good afternoon. Today is Triple Force Friday, October 4th, 2019. Today, we're going to talk about a possible October Apple event, a deep dive on deep focus. We're going to talk about Force Friday and what we're doing for it, and a couple more awesome things because this is the iMore show. And joining us today is iMore's anxiety guru, Georgia Dow. How are you doing, Georgia?
I'm good. Thank you.
Are you anxious about anything today?
No, but I can't wait to talk about my first week of having my watch, being able to use it.
Oh, this is going to be exciting. Sitting right next to Georgia is the effervescent Renee Ricci. How you doing, Renee?
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, did he? He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, I am your father. That's impossible. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. There we go.
Obi-Wan was a liar.
Yeah, he
What's up
lied
with
quite a
that?
lot.
He lied a lot.
You know who never lied? Darth Vader. He told him the truth.
You see?
Yes. Yep.
You
Just
do
saying.
not understand the power of the dark
He
side.
couldn't tell when his son or daughter was around.
The weird thing is that George Lucas is such a bad writer that the Sith end up having all the good qualities that he says the Jedi need to have. Like they're cool, they're calm, they're collected, they're powerful, they're centered.
Yeah.
They know their goal. They have their to-do list.
I'm still upset with the Obi-Wan line of "I'm going to be more powerful than you can ever imagine," and then he just poofs. He becomes like
no, but they explained that. They explained that Darth Vader has a very bad imagination.
That's
good. So apparently we're celebrating Force Friday today, aren't we?
So what is Triple Force Friday? It's not just Force Friday, it's Triple Force Friday?
You know, I actually was watching one of the Star Wars live streams where they were unveiling a bunch of toys that were coming out. And I can't actually remember why they specifically dubbed this one Triple Force Friday.
I think, okay. The money.
They hope they triple sell toys.
Yeah, right. So I think I just lost a couple of my Star Wars creds, but let me try to get them back real quick. If I'm remembering, it's because there are 3 new big things coming out that they're celebrating and releasing toys for, which is Mandalorian, Rise of the Luke Skywalker, and a third thing that I don't remember the name of yet. So there we go. Never mind. You know what?
Pretty much it's like buy and market.
Yes.
Okay.
And also they're streaming Pokemon Sword and Shield all day, which is another weird internet breaking thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another big deal, but that one's not coming. It's coming out on November.
Yeah, but they're
15th,
streaming it today,
30th.
so you can watch and you'll see like more of the new Pokemon or something.
Which is really cool. I don't want any spoilers though. I don't know if I want to watch that. I actually the one thing I hate about Force Friday, or anytime when they launch new toys before
Yes.
the new movie, I don't want those spoilers. I don't want to
Yeah.
find out who's in the movie that I didn't know from at least watching the trailers. And like, I've already, like I said, I watched the live stream of them unveiling a bunch of these toys, and there's these characters. It's like, well, now I know that character's in this
Well,
movie.
see, that's why I don't even watch the previews.
But you know
Yeah.
now that a Porg is going to be on the Starship Enterprise in the new series, right? Because like there was the Vulcan and then the Klingon and the Borg, so it's got to be a Porg next.
Well, I like porgs, so
Okay.
I have now 2 porg toys. So
Are we gonna?
that's the only one I'm in on.
On the Millennium Falcon, then.
Yeah, Millennium Falcon is my jam.
Oh, are you doing anything today special? Are you watching any of the films?
Star Wars are my
dressing
2.5 favorite films of all time, so I will probably watch those 2.5 films again at some point.
What's the half? Which one is the
Half
half?
of Jedi.
Okay.
Because Lucas's daughter convinced him to change all the Wookiees into
it's
Ewoks.
The
and
Wookiee
I can't
Ewok
watch it
controversy.
without thinking, no, we don't change it because of our children, George.
That's the
I
wrong,
don't
that's the
know.
wrong answer. I
found
like
this-
Ewoks.
Yeah.
In the movie, but they shouldn't have been fighting. I am sorry, cute little gremlins fighting. I don't buy it. They should have been there. I think they're adorable. I love it. My dog looks like an Ewok. I love
this is
them.
true.
But they should not have been battle ready because no one buys that. They're very puntable.
Georgia would just be at that walker.
You just
kicking the
need
Ewoks
big
everywhere.
boots. That's all you need. You don't even need that. Just big boots.
Yeah,
will
no,
watch
it's true.
In answer to your question, I will watch them.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna, and being that I'm a little bit more deeper ingrained in the Star Wars universe, I actually try to watch the prequels at least once a year.
I don't
No,
mind them.
sorry.
No, like
My reaction was
I
very
can
strong.
watch the prequels more than I can watch the Last Jedi.
Oh.
We're gonna have our arguments about these, but so I might watch some of the prequels this year because I don't think I watched them on May the 4th, and that's the day where I try to watch all of them all in one day, and I've never successfully gotten through them
They
all.
just have so much creep factor.
Because Anakin keeps looking at Padme, even though she helped raise him as a child, and he's like just looking at her, and she's looking at him going, "Why are you looking at me?"
Seems wrong.
Yeah, and there's
And
a lot
all the
of things.
race scenes, the pod race, like that's.
And then when he murders all the kids, that's when she gets into him. I mean, it's a whole dark thing. No wonder Vader is so screwed up.
It's so bad. It did not have to go that way.
You mean Vader had to be dark for some reason? Like he murdered. He likes to murder.
But it should have been. It should have been a reason that is believable. And I'm sorry, as a therapist,
But he wrote it.
Yeah.
He wrote it. Like he wrote down Vader turns evil and kills the kids.
Yeah.
Like he did his job.
And then she falls in love anyways.
I know.
Yeah. And then they can raise the dead. Then they don't. I don't know. It just bothers me. It bothers me also like leaving his mom on the island. They take the kid, they leave the mom. I don't know.
As we get older, Lori, we feel more and more like they don't take care of their seniors very well in these movies.
It was her mom. She wasn't a senior. She was just his mom.
I thought she meant
Darth Vader's mom.
Us as the fans, because I
don't think he cares about the fans at all. This was all about him.
I don't want to get off too much of attention. There was this weird report that when they were talking about how angry Lucas was, they didn't use his stories for the new movies. That one of his big ideas was we were going to explain the myths, which were the subatomic particles of the midichlorians. That's what the new sequels were supposed. I'm just like, get that man off the lot. Call security right now, and take Willow away from him on his way out.
Oh man, yeah. Well, okay. So before we switch away, just really quick, did either of you look at the new toys that are just launching today? Like the new Legos, for example.
I'm not gonna. I have to wait.
There's gonna be spoilers. Like they almost spoiled the Avengers Endgame for me just on their Lego boxes.
Yeah.
Though your Avengers cup still, I didn't fix it yet. It's still missing. I've stolen some of the. I've got the Power Stone here. Here we go. We got the Power Stone.
That's the Soul
Is
Stone.
that the stone? So wait. Let me try. Power Stone.
That's the Space Stone.
Damn. Okay. Wait. I have one more.
Lori, how many did she get wrong before we kick her off the show?
Wait.
I was actually just thinking.
The Power Stone is purple.
Power Stone. Oh, it's still there.
And the green one is the time.
I'm stealing some of the other ones. Time Stone. Okay.
Hold on.
Renee's trying really hard not to.
It's not working.
It's because I have the. I have the cup.
All right, let's talk about some Apple stuff. That's what people want to hear from us. Sorry about all this Star Wars. So today is Force Friday.
I apologize for the 18 minutes.
So first of all, let's talk about a potential October event. Renee, you seem pretty confident that this is going to happen, that you feel pretty good about this, that we're going to see an October event this year. Why do you think that?
I think, Apple doesn't always do them because they are a lot of work for Apple and for us, as we have, they have to logistically set it up. Last year, they got the Brooklyn Academy of Music to do it, which is non-trivial. And they used to do it in Town Hall, which is the old equivalent of the Steve Jobs Theater. And it's a lot like for the PR teams, the marketing teams, the event teams, all those teams, they have to do so much, and we have to fly over and do our work. But they do tend to do it when they have something they want to show off. And I think this year, it's traditionally Mac and it's traditionally iPad. And the new iPad Pros, they might be able to get away with a press release because they just have the big honking iPhone cameras on them. But if they do have that new MacBook Pro, especially given all the salt over the keyboard over the last few years, and if they go edge to edge with the screen, and if there's other cool things to talk about, I think they really want to give that some stage time. I'm just curious if they come out and they go, yeah, we kind of screwed you on that keyboard. We're sorry. We rogered you, but good. But we've made a new one. Or if they just like pretend it never happened and say, today Apple revolutionizes the keyboard.
Again. That's what they're going to say. That's what they would do. They would just kind of gloss over their mistake and just be like, we've revolutionized the keyboard.
Yeah, it's the way it used to be.
And then Joanna Stern cuts them. Like,
yeah,
deservedly.
So there's a chance then that if they don't give us this 16-inch edge-to-edge display Mac, that we might just see a press release, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's always
we're kind of banking on a new MacBook.
And I still want those Apple tags. I mean, if I had those Apple tags, I wouldn't have lost my wallet. I want those Apple tags real bad.
Oh, Renee,
I do want those tags. I'm not excited. Like, I don't like the keyboard, so I'd be happy to have the new keyboard, but I don't need a big event for it. Though they might need a big event for it, just to kind of erase that it happened. Like, but look into the red light and just think. Yeah. But if they had the tags, that would be massively exciting. I don't think that I would be too excited. Like, the watch was too much for me. I don't know if I could handle the tags as well. And what are the Apple tags, Renee? Just to give people that didn't watch.
The iPhone 10, the iPhone 11s have this U1 chip in, which is a spatial positioning chip. So basically, if I had my iPhone out and I wanted to AirDrop and I moved it this way, it would know to AirDrop to Lori. And if I moved it this way, it would know to AirDrop to you because it could read the U1 chip in your phone. And these tags would have them. So not only would you have like Find My iPhone like abilities, once you got in the room with them, you'd be able to move your phone around and see exactly where they are. So like your keys, your wallet, your pets. I don't know what the legality is in your area, your kids. Significant others might have swallowed 10 of them in their yogurts. I don't want to make this about Terry from 9/9 again. But all those cool things, it would just make this massive Find network that Apple built to support Find My iPhone and Find My Friends.
So it's a chip.
Yeah.
It's a chip in the iPhone 11, 11 Pro models, right?
Yes, the U1.
So then, like, if I have an iPhone 10s, iPhone 10, I don't get to use tags, or
you'll have like the same as you have with Find My iPhone now, and that you'll get that little blue dot, and you'll know that you're roughly
in the area. It won't be
area,
positional,
but you won't be able to like Harry Potter magic wand, Lazio wallet, whatever.
Right. So in other words, with the latest line of iPhones, you can hone in very specifically.
Yeah.
It's under seat 9B.
It's whereas, like indoor GPS.
Yeah. Whereas, for everyone else, it's somewhere in section B.
Yes.
Now, Renee, I'm just going to ask the question of why would they wait till October? Why wouldn't they have put it in if they were ready this soon? Because again, I want them really badly. But if they were ready this soon, why wouldn't have they talked about them in September?
I think like AirPower fear, like they don't want to overpromise and underdeliver again. And if they're not about to ship them, I think they've learned to wait. So let's say like they're not quite ready in September, but we could just announce them anyway. But then it turns out they're not going to ship. Then it's like AirPower. I think they're not going to want to announce them until it's like you can order them today.
Right. They don't want to.
What chances do you give this?
I have no idea. I can't tell anything. Ever since AirPower, I can't tell anything.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, that's for sure. So then if there is going to be an October event, do you think that it will happen here on the West Coast with me, or do you think that they would hold it somewhere maybe on the East Coast with you?
They like field trips now, so I would like the Steve Jobs Theater. They used. I figured they built it. They should use it, but they seem to think it's boring to keep using it, which I don't get. And they did the March event there, and they did the September event there. So maybe, and also TV Plus is starting. So if they wanted to refresh the Apple TV line, and some people are like, why? It's got an A10. I'm going to say A1010 because Apple has destroyed my ability to pronounce the letter X. The A10X chip in it. But if you're doing like high level compositing with 4K HDR and some of the other new games that are coming out, maybe you want an A12 or an A12X in there. And I still want an Apple TV dongle that I can, like if I go and visit Lori, I just want to take my dongle out, throw it like a ninja star, have it hit that HDMI port in her TV and just stream all my apps. So like if they have a couple of things they want to bundle with the TV Plus launch, I think it'd be fun maybe to do it. I don't know. LA?
In Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man's Chinese Theater.
Fun. Yeah. That would be great.
That would be easier for the Apple TV stuff.
Yeah.
If they had an October event that was focusing more on TV and they held it in Hollywood, I think that would be an absolute blast. That would be red carpet. Oh yeah, that would be so much fun.
Look, and that's all. Who are you wearing, Tim? Who are you wearing? Oh, this is Versace.
You get an Apple tag. You get an Apple tag.
Yeah, they're probably not going to be so expensive that Oprah couldn't give us all Apple tags that are sitting in that room.
From her sofa cushions.
Anything else you think might come in October if we do see it? We're talking 16-inch MacBook Pros, iPads with a triple camera system, Apple tags, an Apple TV dongle, or at least an upgraded Apple TV. Anything else?
I would love to see upgrades to last year's Macs. I think like with the Mac Mini, it's important to show momentum. Like don't just update it once and leave it for another 5 years. Same with the MacBook Air. It should get the new key. Like I'm not saying it will, but it should. Like if Apple wants to be serious about it, it should get the new keyboard. It should get Ice Lake to replace the Amber Lake. And the iMac Pro hasn't been updated since Apple announced it in 2017. It's still got the Skylake, I think it's Skylake Xeon chips. And meanwhile, that new Mac Pro is coming out. So if they're going to show off and give us a release date and tell us how much the damn wheels cost on the Mac Pro, it'd be nice if we got an update to more recent generation. I mean, pie in the sky, I'd love to see an AMD Threadripper iMac Pro. That would never happen. So just latest, greatest Intel chips. And maybe boost up the display because the iMac display now, it looks great, but doesn't look, Pro Display XDR great.
Well, how many Ks do you think the new iMac or iMac Pro should have been? I feel like we're in a pretty good state without jumping all the way to the Pro HDR XMN
6K for
WY.
6K. That's the joke.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So maybe there should be 5K. No, I just like they literally can't afford to. Yeah, like I don't think they should push the price point up. I think they should keep that as low as possible, but it'd be nice if they did something with it.
Yeah. Maybe just some new internal, some new guts, because that's, that could be a press release update. And if they do have the event, they could and on top of that, we're also updating our iMac line with some new internal things.
And they never do it, but I watched that Surface event, the Microsoft Surface event. Our pals at Windows Central covered the bejeebus out of it. And they're showing off the new Surface book. And then Panos Panay just grabs the top of it, rips the top right off. And all the hard disk, the memory, it's all modular. So, and it's unclear to me. Some people thought you could replace it, but the Microsoft language sounds like only Microsoft can replace it. But even that, like if I had to take my computer in and have Apple put in a better hard drive, I'd love that.
Yeah.
It's better for sustainability. It's better for repairability. It does make the machine weaker and more susceptible to torque because anything that can pop off will pop off. But I think there's some middle ground that we could reach there.
Yeah. So this is actually a very good segue, Renee. One of the things I wanted to bring up was the Microsoft event that happened. Georgia, did you happen to see it or at least hear about some of the big things that are coming out?
I heard about them, but
so
yeah,
Renee,
I'm out of the ecosphere. So
yeah, true. We use I don't know. Georgia, you and I are pretty much exclusively Apple. Renee, I don't know. I know you have an Android device lying around, but I'm assuming you're also fully immersed in the Apple ecosystem. But I like to talk about. I
have 7 PC laptops in a pile in my studio too. That
I like to talk about the innovations that other companies are doing. And Renee, you had a great article on some things that Microsoft announced that Apple could copy or however you want to word it.
Let's just say it. Great artist, steal.
So what are some of the highlights for you, Renee, that was announced for let's just use the Microsoft Duo and Microsoft Neo as just to really narrow down what they announced so that we can compare them to what Apple does.
So I want to be careful with terminology because I think that the tech industry does a horrible job with consumers because like they talk about innovation in a way that's completely detached from reality. And like when they say innovation, what they often mean is stunts or gimmicks or, oh my God, that's so weird. It gives a dopamine hit to my otherwise incredibly bored and cynical brain. And I don't want to pander to that because to me, innovation is things that literally makes people's lives better. And a lot of the things we're seeing now, like the Galaxy Fold and the Surface Neo and the Surface Duo, these are not innovations. These are experiments. Like they might lead to innovation, but right now it's like the Trio Pro, or like the Trio. Microsoft had tablet PC for 10 years before the iPad. They had Windows Mobile for 5 years before the iPhone. They had the Microsoft Spot Watch that Bill Gates was wearing long before the Apple Watch. But those were like cool experiments, and we need those to get to like the good version. Like it's like you got to write your first 10,000 articles that are really bad before you get to the good version. And now we have really good phones and really good tablets and really good watches. But these are experiments. These are like, they're like the Galaxy Fold, except for when you open it up, it's not one contiguous screen. It's two separate screens. And that means it's worse because you've got a big hinge in the middle, but it's better because the screens are like glass and they don't break when you look at them. I have to give a shout out to Joanna Stern for reviewing the Galaxy Fold in a bubble. Hermetically sealed bubble so that the screen wouldn't be destroyed because that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one.
One of them runs Windows 10X. Better not be Windows 10.10. Don't do that to me, Microsoft. Windows 10X, and the other one runs Android, which is huge for Microsoft. And a lot of people are like, oh, if you know Satya Nadella, you know that makes sense. Like, no, there is no universe in which Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer ever saw Microsoft devices running Android. I'm sorry. Like, it's pragmatic and it's smart, but it's like it's not Microsoft. So it's really interesting and weird. Yeah. And I'm not going to call it innovation because innovation has to stand the test of time. But it is awesome, awesome experiments that I think does help us move diagonally forward in a different way than what Samsung is doing right now.
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that you're bringing up when it comes to experimenting is everyone is talking about foldable devices right now, and Apple is the one company who they're just not touching it right now. They're not going there, and that's very typical. They let everybody do it wrong for a couple of years. They figure out what everybody wants out of something like that, and then all the while they've been working on something similar in the background, and then they finally decide, okay, this is best use cases for this purpose, so we're going to make it like this and then release it with that in mind instead of just this like it folds, because right now that's the only feature of a foldable phone or tablet. It folds. And there is some software that kind of makes it neat, the way you can remotely drag things from one screen to another. But guess what? Catalina does that on my Mac and my iPad. So I'm already getting that sort of swiping from one screen to another aspect.
If I look at it from any one company, like the Galaxy Fold is neat and the Microsoft Duo is neat, but you're telling developers that right now, like these are developers who wouldn't even support your tablet, the tablet version of your operating system, to go and make like one thing that jumps from the closed screen to the open screen, one that works on open screens, one that works on two screens. And I'm guessing a lot of them just won't. But it's also at the same time, it's not like, okay, 1 year you're going to do this. Next year you're going to do that. It's like, okay, all right now we have all these experimental devices. Please support it. We can give you like a year. Please support it. And they're going to go, and they'll give us whatever just works on the operating system.
You see, I feel differently though about it. I think that those are innovations. I feel totally different. I think that they are. I don't think that Apple does a lot of innovating. For Apple, it's not innovating, but it works. They'll do it better. Probably it's already been out there. Probably they've already looked at it, but it's going to work, and probably it's going to work in most cases for all of their hardware better or more stably at least than something there. But I definitely could say that when you do something and it's new, that is an innovation in my standing to that. That's innovation. But do you want something that's innovation and it's at the cutting line, but it's non-functional, or do you want something that actually works and works well and it's stable and you're not going to have to bring it in, you're not going to peel something off because you shouldn't have? Every once in a while, Apple does get, you're holding it wrong. That's true. Shouldn't have done it. But, Apple's not great with saying mea culpa. I'm sorry. Later, they do. They're not great in the first pass. But it's okay to say that I think that it is innovation, but I don't think that Apple should be heading towards innovation. They're not great at that. Apple should be heading towards making sure that they have stable, usable devices that you're not going to have to spend most of the time bringing it back because you got dust underneath it. And usually when they're the first out of the pass for something, it's often not as great of a device, and they get a whole bunch of hit pieces upon them because you have to dust, clean, wash your Apple Card and not put it in your pocket.
Yep. So in terms of
the Apple Card.
Yes, in terms of asking developers to do more than is necessary, I think there's a couple of things that kind of come along with that. And one of them is it's on, in this very specific case with Microsoft, it's on Microsoft, for example, on the Neo. The Neo is the tablet and the Duo is the phone. Yes. And I hope I didn't get that wrong.
No, you're right.
On the Neo, that one is the tablet. It runs the Microsoft 10. So it's on Microsoft to make sure the operating system supports that usability of the two screens. And then hopefully developers see what Microsoft has done and they want to make their apps do something great like that. Just like the way Apple, in their operating system on iOS and iPadOS and macOS, they try to present the example to you of what you can do. They make the operating system work a specific way that's, innovative, if you will, to use that as an example for developers. And I'm bringing this very specific reasoning up. On iPadOS, there's some incredible multitasking tools that you can use now, where you can open the same app in two different windows. You can have a third tab with the same app open in a third window. It's really incredible. And recently I've been testing out Good Notes, which has been around for quite a while. And they've updated the app recently to support the same multitasking ability right inside the app. So it's not just Apple's software that's making this happen. It's the developer that went, you know what? We can do something cool with that too. So they incorporated that into the app itself. And that, to me, that's an example of the company that made the hardware, Microsoft in this example, and comparing it to Apple. They need to present like this really amazing bit of technology so that the developers, like Good Notes in this particular example, they say, I want my app to do something innovative like that too. I want it to do this really cool thing too. So for example, Gmail could potentially have an app that does, it shows your inbox on one screen and you just tap on it and suddenly the full page is on the second half of it. There's all kinds of wonderful things that you can do with that. And I think it's sort of a process that both, developer and hardware / operating system creators could work together to make happen. So as much as, you can kind of, you can point to the past and realize that developers struggle with whether or not it's worth it to make these big updates, for example, from a phone to a tablet. Is it really worth my effort to do that? But you can also look to some of those other developers who have just made amazing strides with what's been available to them and have really created these incredible apps and services. And they've innovated beyond even what Apple or Microsoft or Google is doing with their operating system. So I think this could potentially be like a beautiful future. And step one, we've got a couple of companies that are experimenting with foldable devices. And step two, the developers figure out some great ways to use that. And then step three, Apple goes, okay, now we're doing it. And here's why we're doing it. And here's how we're doing it. So
we haven't got the three-way fold like Westworld yet.
Yeah, that'll be the next, with a little bit of holographic projection on there.
Oh, that would be
Tony Stark watch.
It.
All you need is the watch and it just projects.
Yeah. We're going to take a break in a minute, but real quick, I wanted to comment, Graham Crackers, great handle, by the way, was asking about the Amazon app on iOS and Apple TV. We don't have any new information coming out. What we all discovered this morning, we all jumped in our phones and on our Apple TV and did a quick check at the time. the Amazon Prime Video app it's the only one affected by this, but the Amazon Prime Video app was not available in the App Store anymore. We haven't heard back from, I'm trying to do a quick search just to find out. We haven't heard back from Amazon about what's going on. So for now, I can just let everybody know. Okay, I'm quickly scrolling through and I still don't see it back in the App Store. So the Amazon Prime Video, I'm sure I'm wording that backward, but it's the one that allows you to watch Prime Video on your iPhone or iPad or Apple TV. It is not available in the iPhone or the iOS App Store or the Apple TV App Store at the moment. If you already have it on your device, it still runs just fine, so you're fine. I successfully had an update happen a couple of days ago, and the update is there. But there have been a couple of people who said when they tap to update, it shows it's not available in the App Store and they're not able to update it, even though it does still work on their devices. And if you try to download it new, you just won't be able to because it doesn't appear in the App Store. So
my guess
just a quick note on that.
The update has some issue and they pulled it to fix it, and it's just an ugly thing that happens under those circumstances.
It's certainly not anything to worry about. I highly doubt that Amazon is pulling it from the App Store because of some kind of, we're mad at Apple for having TV Plus or anything like that. It was probably just something that needs
saw an episode of The Boys and got cranky, so we're pulling.
Yeah, so just a quick update on that. It's probably nothing. It'll probably be back in the App Store tomorrow or even in a couple hours from now. So no big deal.
Probably by the time you watch the show, it's back.
Exactly. So let's take a quick break right now so that I can tell you a little bit about Cleanmymac X. And yes, it is Cleanmymac X, by the way.
Okay.
Cleanmymac X is an app that monitors your Mac and regularly recommends data that you can get rid of to help you speed up your processes. It's kind of like having a digital maid inside your Mac. It goes around and it picks up little things that it thinks might be garbage, and then it asks you if you want to get rid of it. Hey, do you want to keep this or do you want to just throw this out? And then you can click, oh, I don't want to get rid of it. Or no. That's a weird, emotional sock that I have from 10 years ago that I don't want to get rid of, even though it looks gross. I want to keep it. So you get to decide. You can clean out gigabytes of craft, and it's all just with like a single click. I've actually been using Cleanmymac 10 Cleanmymac on my Mac for years. Cleanmymac X, came out last year for Mojave, but I've been using previous version for years. It helps me just get rid of stuff that I didn't even notice was on my Mac. I didn't realize I had duplicates of the same app or something like that. One time I was trying to update an app and it just wasn't working right. It kept saying, this version is not available or something like that. I didn't know what was going on with it. So I hopped into the Cleanmymac app and to see if there was like a broken data, if I had deleted it on accident, even though the icon was still there or something like that. It just turned out I had two versions of the same app. One of them was older. So when I was trying to update, it was asking me to update one that I wasn't using anymore. That was an older version. It was outdated. So I just deleted that one right from the Cleanmymac interface. And then all of my updates from then on for that app, they were going to the proper current app that I was using. So it was really great, really easy to do. Cleanmymac, it identifies any 32-bit apps so that you can remove them or get in touch with the developer and tell them to upgrade to 64-bit, because when Catalina comes out, it will only be supporting 64-bit apps. So this is a great way to kind of run through the list. If you're ready to install Catalina and you're not sure yet whether or not your favorite apps are updated, you can use Cleanmymac to just quickly check and see, okay, this one that I used 10 years ago, it's not updated to 64-bit, but I don't use it anyway, so I'm okay. This other one that I use every single day, it's still 32-bit, so I better not install Catalina until it's been updated. It's really easy. It just shows you a big list of them really quickly. You can quickly go through and delete those with just a quick button. It's pretty easy to use. It's been notarized by Apple, so it is safe and secure and easy to use. It's not one of those, there's been other cleaner apps in the past that have created a bad name for some of these Mac app cleaners. So I do want to kind of take a moment and say Cleanmymac 10, Cleanmymac X is not one of those. I've been using it for years and it's very safe and secure. It is not going to put secret files on your computer that you can never get rid of or anything like that. It's safe and secure. Cleanmymac X lets you remove large and old files, hidden junk, unused apps and extensions. You can use it to scan your system for viruses and malware, clean browser history, and other private data. It takes a few clicks to fix hung apps and processes, improve drive performance, and give your Mac much more speed to keep up with Catalina. You can head over to macpaw.com/iMore to get a 30% discount on Cleanmymac X. This offer does expire on October 13th. So if you want to get that 30% discount, head over to macpaw.com/iMore. And thanks to MacPaw for sponsoring this week's episode of The iMore Show. Back to our program. So what about
I need that for my contacts, actually.
It's a great, I use it all the time. It's a great app. I love it.
And does it do it well for your contacts?
I haven't tried it on my contacts because I don't usually look at contacts on my Mac. I use it on my phone. So I haven't tried it, but now that you brought it up, I think I'm gonna have to check it out and see what it does for my duplicate contacts, if it finds them and deletes them.
If it finds them and deletes them, let me know.
Okay. Another big thing that just came out, it's not actually available yet, but everyone's talking about it right now, is Deep Fusion. So it's with Renee, Apple mentioned it at their iPhone event, but then said it will be available later this year on the new iPhones. And we have seen it now in the developer preview. So that's 13.2 developer beta of the iPhone. Renee right now is taking a picture of George's sweater so that he can show us the detail that comes along with Deep Fusion.
Good.
And we are looking at a picture of the.
What is Lori? What is Deep Fusion?
Renee is actually going to be a lot better at explaining this to you.
Sorry.
I can give you. I'm good at giving you the everyman version of this, and then Renee can go into the deeper details. So the everyman version of this is that it really does it gives you the exact detail stuff that your digital phones can't usually do. It takes a bunch of pictures, it analyzes all these different angles, and then it makes one photograph out of all of those different angles that it just did, so that you get this extra detail. The hairs that come off of my head are crisp and clear when you zoom in super tight, instead of having that sort of haze that usually comes along with zooming close in on your iPhone. I think we've all done this before, where you take a picture of something and there's like a little dot on my forehead.
Cool. That's really good. I don't even know if the screen can show up how well.
Yeah, so what it's doing is it's sort of analyzing that information and making sure that it's crisp and clear, so that you can actually zoom in super tight and it doesn't turn into kind of this blurry, yucky mess. Now, Renee, you give us some of the more specific details on how this actually works.
So it's actually pretty cool, and it's going to confuse some people because it's meant to be automatic, but we're talking about it in a very non-automatic way. So they'll be like, how do I turn on Deep Fusion? You don't. How do I turn off Deep Fusion? You don't. How do I force it to shoot in Deep Fusion? You don't. How do I prevent it? You can, but it's a pain in the ass workaround. So the gist of it is Deep Fusion works in between Smart HDR and night mode. So if it's an incredibly bright scene, Apple will default to Smart HDR, which will just try to recover detail in the highlights and expose the shadows and those kinds of things. So I forget the exact lumens numbers. I think it's around 500 or something. It'll then switch to Deep Fusion. And what Deep Fusion does is that before you even press the shutter, it's taking several photos. And then when you do press the shutter, and those photos are meant to minimize motion blur. And then when you press the shutter, it takes a long exposure. And then it merges all of those photos down into two different photos, one that captures detail and one that captures sort of the tones, the colors, all of that information. And then it goes through and pixel by pixel rebuilds the photo by taking the sharpness information from the sharpest it can and the color information from the most deep and rich source it can, and it rebuilds the picture pixel by pixel. And it takes, I believe it takes those 12 megapixel photos and fuses them into a 24 megapixel picture. But the result is you get that really crisp detail, like really good skin tones, but actual facial texture. Because a lot of phones, they kind of just do their best. It's like, oh, we'll use like whatever texture. We'll like just use like some random computer generated texture. Or like, this is wood in real life, but we'll just make it a crosshatch because we detect.
It's close enough. It's close enough. Yeah.
Apple really wants to make like people look like people because they know that that's what's really important to you in the photos. But they also have separate algorithms that run. So, for example, when it analyzes each pixel, it also looks at the photo and says, this is human flesh tones, or it goes, this is clouds, or this is grass, or this is texture like a sweater. And then it does every operation on that to sort of optimize what it is. So it doesn't apply like one filter across the whole photo. It's literally filtered on a pixel level. And it's supposed to give you the clearest, crispest, sharpest, crunchiest, best looking picture possible.
So that sounds like it's going to take a really long time.
It does take a second, but
okay. And what if I'm moving during that second?
Well, no, that's why I took the pictures first. So it tries to find the cleanest picture it can first.
Okay.
But because it's not taking the picture for the whole time, it's taking rapid amount of pictures, and it is processing it. In my experience, it's nowhere nearly as long as like Huawei or Google take to process. I think that's just because Apple Silicon is so good, and also it's fast enough that if you take the picture, tap the thumbnail to go look at the picture, it is probably finished by the time you get there. Like maybe half a second after you've gone to look at the thumbnail. You'll see like an approximation, and then it's like done.
See, so this would not be great for like taking a portrait of someone.
No, sure, it'd be great.
No, I don't think it'll be great. I don't know if I want to see that much detail of lines or bumps.
But it'll look like what your eyes see.
Yeah, I don't know if I want what my eyes see.
That actually,
this is, I think, anti-Instagram. Oh no, you're gonna do it. Okay, go ahead.
This brings up a question.
Stop moving. I was only part of you moving.
Oh, this brings up a question that I have, Renee, is whether or not Deep Fusion works on the front-facing camera.
It does not. It only works on the main. So this is where people might get confused. The main camera, which is the wide angle, the 12 megapixel f1.8 main camera, does all the heavy lifting. It's got 100% focus pixels. It's got a really good aperture. It does almost all the hard work on the iPhone. The ultra wide angle does almost nothing. It's like the prince, little boy prince, little girl princess of the phone, of the cameras. It's got no focus pixels. It's got no optical image stabilization. It's like, okay, you really want to take a picture of all of this? Fine, I'll help you out. And then the telephoto, if you have it on a Pro, it's somewhere in between. But almost all the time, any hard work is being done by the main camera.
Mm-hmm. So it's sort of the opposite of the controversial face softening feature that was included in the iPhones previously on the front-facing camera. This is the showing you everything in its most realist way, including all of my big dark pores or something like that, right?
You can definitely see big dark pores, but it's not like
it doesn't look fake.
It doesn't look fake. It definitely looks real. You get, the cool part is you get all the like the hair highlights and everything else too. Not so sure I'm thrilled about all the different like little tiny pores and stuff, but it's not horrible, but definitely bumpier than you'd want on Instagram.
But usually you're taking like a picture of someone from like, we're really close. Like usually you're taking it from
probably from, it's kind of cool.
Detail. See, it's always the sweaters with these.
It doesn't.
Yeah, which is why I think we're hearing the sweater mode is what it's being dubbed right now, because everybody's taking pictures of themselves in sweaters, and Apple was promoting this feature by showing you pictures of people with sweaters on. But I think that's the reason, is that sweaters have this very intricate knit to them, and what they're trying to show you, and what I think is really impressive about that, is without Deep Fusion, that will sometimes sort of just kind of look soft and blurred. It won't really give you the depth that sweater actually has on it. So no, we're not like desperate for photography that shows us the details of our knit, but it is just representative of what the camera can do. So I think, so Renee, you're specifically saying, that you're taking pictures of Georgia right now. She had mentioned these would be bad for portraits, but does it work with portrait mode?
No, they're separate modes. So like if you turn on capture image outside the photo, Deep Fusion will turn off. I believe with portrait mode, it'll turn off. It's just it's meant to like it's meant for you not to really think about it. It's just like we'll always try to get you the best picture you can, no matter what you're trying to do. And Deep Fusion is one of the tools in the box that it uses to capture those good photos.
So when I take a picture on an iPhone and Smart HDR shows up, I'll get a little, there'll be like a little notification or a little symbol on that picture that says Smart HDR. Does that happen with Deep Fusion? Do you have a little, this was taken with Deep Fusion? I don't think it shows you
Smart HDR anymore, does it? I think it's just all hidden away now. I think all you get is night mode and the flash.
Mm-hmm.
The flash being the flash, not the camera flash.
Basically, most people aren't even going to know what Deep Fusion is. They're just going to be looking at a picture going, man, that picture looks really good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly that.
Unless they have capture outside the frame enabled, in which case they won't see that because that's been enabled. So which one, Renee, do you think is better for most people? Do you think they should have capture outside the frame enabled for those exact moments when you accidentally cut off Georgia's face when you took a picture? Or do you think having Deep Fusion enabled is better because even if you cut off Georgia's face, you got the details in her sweater?
I think so. I think, Apple turns off capture details outside the frame on by default. Like it's not on by default, and that's for a couple reasons. One is that it prevents Deep Fusion. But two, it could also be like privacy issues. Like if you have a document on your desk that no one else should see, or you're getting like, you're taking a picture, but you're not wearing pants and you're being very careful about how you frame the picture. You don't want anybody to recover the information outside the picture you took and like see your address on an envelope, or, you see that you're wearing your Wonder Woman underoos, whatever, like, like that's your business. So they're leaving that off. So I think for most people, leaving that off. Now, if you have a habit of cutting off your kids' faces, or if you have a habit of, not getting the horizon line correct, or if you're taking like architectural photos and you want the ability to realign everything, then go in and turn it on. But I think for most people, the default settings are probably good.
Okay, so most people shouldn't even worry about that capture outside the frame. That's for the pros. That's kind of meant as a
clumsy. So like if you're like me and you do it like all the time, you should go in and turn it off. But if it's not a problem, then it doesn't really help you solve anything.
Right. So with that in mind, do you think that Apple might actually remove that feature someday just because first of all, it takes away your ability to use Deep Fusion, which is a phenomenal feature. But second, it's not actually that great in terms of accidental privacy related stuff. Do you think that this was an experiment?
I think they'll fix it. Like I think now it's a limitation on the ultra wide angle lens because you can't do both because of that lens. So basically when you turn that on, it always fires the ultra wide angle. And if the ultra wide angle is firing, it can't do Deep Fusion. It can only do one or the other. But I think in future iPhones, you'll be able to do both. And then it'll just be smarter about the way it presents it.
Right. Georgia, you just took a picture of yourself with your own iPhone without Deep Fusion.
Can you put the other one of the sweater up and we can see the difference between the level of fuzz? Oh my God, that is actually a huge, okay, so I'm going to try to put it up on the screen for those that are actually watching. But the difference between both is really noticeable. Like
it really just brings out it highlights and brightens and darkens all of those little crevices in there.
You can actually see every single fiber.
And you can see like the little bits of lint on the sweater.
Yeah, that highlight, it really comes out very crisp. Can you take another one just in case it was me and the angle? It's also brighter. Like you can see all the little tiny fiber, like it looks fuzzy on my camera versus on the other one, it looks like amazingly detailed. And I thought, it's probably not going to be noticeable is what I thought when I did it. I went, am I really going to notice? And if I notice, it's a big deal because like, it's just really
Just more detailed.
It's much more detailed though, like
Mhm.
brighter, and
Oh,
you can
take a
see the
doggy
difference
picture.
between both of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, the
Um,
brights are brighter and the darks are darker.
Yeah, and you can just go in to see more. And the cool part is that when I use my phone, I often, if I want to, I don't know, find out some, oh, she's your cute deep fusion doggy picture. Like
Yeah,
I'll
that's
use
pretty
it
cute.
for looking up details that are too small for me to see, like
Mhm.
writing on inside of a ring, or,
Mhm.
and so I'll
Right,
use
right,
that
right.
as my magnification. So
Yep,
for
I've done
that
that
deep
too.
fusion, yeah, I'm not the only one.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
Deep fusion is great for that. So I'm kind of excited. I'm
Yeah,
kind of excited about doing that with that.
it's pretty impressive work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's not available to the public yet. It's actually still in beta form. When Apple releases 13.2, which could be very soon, it could be a month from now, who knows? That's when we're going to get to see Deep Fusion on the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro models.
And most people will probably not notice because you don't have to do anything. It's just there.
Exactly. It's just there for anybody who didn't turn on capture outside the frame. And most people won't, because that's, you know, a hidden feature basically. So it's going to be what most people use and what most people see. And just like you're saying, they're just going to look at this picture and just go, wow, that's a really clear picture. That's amazing.
Or won't notice it because a lot of people aren't capturing big detail. But if you are, you will notice that there's much more detail, much more easily. I can't believe that I actually noticed it too. So if I noticed it, then
you are one of our a good litmus test, because you are a big fan of, like, that's not as big of a deal as everybody says it is.
Yeah.
You do good.
I'm not easily impressed with that, but
They're not
that was
innovating.
cool.
If someone put 9 cameras on the outside, they would be innovating. This is just making life better for sweaters.
Listen, if we could get 9 pictures and then we could do like that bullet time, I'm in.
Well,
But
you need 9 phones.
yeah, hey, listen, 9 can't. You could just open it up like.
Oh, a 9-fold.
Yeah.
Yes, a 9-fold. Yep. So, Georgia, you've had your Apple Watch on your wrist for over a week now.
Yeah.
How are you liking it? And we're this is sort of like a couple weeks later review, but Georgia hasn't really had a chance to express her joy of having this always on screen. So tell me how it feels.
I love it more than I could have expected that I loved, and I knew I was going to love it. I was the one dancing around my whole house when I found out that it was coming, and it's absolutely amazing. I would say that it is, and I rarely say something is worth to update to. It's worth to update to. It's
Is it just the fact that it's always on? That's the one thing to you that makes it worth the update?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
if I'm on the Series 4, and for somebody who is that enthusiastic about the always on display, you're saying it is worth, even though you just paid $600 or whatever for your phone last year, do it again.
Yeah, if you use your phone and you need to do things quickly, so if you're in a profession where time matters and being accurate with your time matters, it's night and day. I don't have to, I can just look.
Watch?
It works. Yeah, finally it works. Apple Watch, it works as a watch. It kind of makes me angry that we've waited this long, and really, really happy that we have it now, but it's life-changing. Absolutely 100% life-changing for me. The amount of stress that I have while I'm in session, I know that I can time things well. I know that the information is just, I don't have to move at all, and I can glance at my watch and see the time, which for other people that have different watches are probably like, well, yeah, that's what I do all the time. But it's nice to get your notifications as well, which is a bonus for me. I often, when I'm in session, I actually put it onto the big mode. Just I can't twist my.
I see.
Anyways, the big mode, and I can even when it's like, not in bright mode, it's amazing, and I can tell.
You can still see
and
it well.
It's worth it. I have one of my colleagues just got her Series 4, and she's like, but really,
those
Georgia,
a-holes.
like, is it? She's like, is it that different? And I'm like, I'm so much more calm. It's lovely. So if you're in a medical profession, dealing with time, EMT officer, teacher, like it's just nice not to have to flick, tap, dig,
See,
wave.
the other watch is innovative by putting a 1980s LCD fake thing that you had to put in a separate mode in order to get into and out of. Apple is just, making it nice for people by having it work.
Listen, and it works. I'm still into it. I'm sorry. I'm still on the, difference between innovation. We're gonna have like this fight constantly, probably now. But they're not the first person to make a digital watch. They didn't we had the Pebble.
To make a phone.
No, they weren't. But they did it, and they did it great.
It reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit where I'm like, George, is Apple innovative? No. Do you want to use a Microsoft version? Hell no.
But I'm not again. If you want something that has fancy doodads, that's great. But then you might have to be bringing it in and worried about your security and privacy. Yes, you're using it in a bubble, which is adorable. But it's effective. It works. I don't have to worry about it. The battery life has been amazing. I have not had to run through and worry about it. A lot of people, I know
some people are experiencing. Yeah, some people are experiencing some issues with battery life or battery drain.
And wasn't that there were some, I would bring, if you're really having a serious trouble where it's a huge difference, I would bring it in or take a look at what's on your watch, because maybe that's just a manufacturing issue with that watch per se.
Right.
I have not had any difference with, I finished the day. I use my watch all the time. I finish the day and I start early, I finish late, and I don't have to worry. I put it onto my stand at night as I usually do. And it hasn't, I haven't yet even had a warning.
Right. So I think that, to clarify this and be very, very, very clear, the always on display Apple Watch does not intentionally drain your battery more than it should. If your battery has drained more than it would have if it were a Series 4, there might be something wrong with that watch, or there might be a glitch in the operating system that you need to update or kind of reinstall it or something like that. Because I've mentioned this before. Russell Hawley wrote this amazing article for iMore. He took his Apple Watch Series 4 and Apple Watch Series 5 on a 50-mile bike ride, and he ran the same activity apps on both of them, running the entire time. It was for a few hours. I can't remember exactly how long. And he got back home from that experiment, and both of them were at the exact same battery percentage. So if you do have an Apple Watch that is suffering battery issues, take it in, find out what's wrong. That's not the norm. You don't have to turn off always on because it's ruining your battery. That's not happening.
Repairing it first too, just before you take it back. Just unpair it from your phone, repair it in case anything went wrong. And the only trouble I had is that, first, when I first had it, I was traveling a lot and I just slaughtered his battery. But for some reason, when I got back, it was losing connectivity to the phone, and then the radios were just blaring all the time trying to reconnect, and that drained battery. So I unpaired it, repaired it, and it's been
and then you were fine.
Like a day and a half fine since then.
Yeah,
great. So there's
and know that it is going to use up more battery power. It's there, it's on versus being in a sleep mode. And now the sleep mode, it's just dimmer, and often it's not using as many pixels. So for the, large faced watch, it's just the outline of the numbers instead of having the full numbers there that are dimmer. So it saves a little bit more on battery power, but it is on. Now, the interesting thing is if you're running an activity as Russell did, because you're moving the entire time, it's not really a fair assessment of the differences between both, because both watches, if you're moving, are constantly on. And they're both running the activity modes as they both would be anyway. So it's not really testing the difference between a phone at rest, whereas a phone that would be always with a dimmer but still on face. But as you can expect, of course, it's going to run through battery a little bit more. I don't mind.
They say the same. I think people are upset because, not upset, but people who are upset because Apple says it should have the same battery life.
And it does. I think that's...
I wouldn't care if I'm good. I was good from the start, Apple. I could have done it, but I guess this is why they were so careful, and I had to wait this long. Is for the people that were complaining
they just
about.
Didn't like
you. Yeah, that's probably true. It's probably true.
They're like, Georgia,
why? Why? Yeah.
They did it well though. Like that's the thing is that a bunch of people who did it earlier did really janky implementations that had separate modes or different watch faces or looked like the alarm clock from Stranger Things. You know, and Apple just made it work with all your, like it just looks like your watch face, which is great.
Which, by the way, if Apple makes a retro watch face that looks like the watch face from Stranger Things, that will be my main watch face because I love that.
A calculator face. We have a calculator app now. Give us a calculator watch face. I want to be back in high school again.
Exactly. I would love that.
Me too.
I love that.
I would want it to. It would have to work though.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
If it worked, I would be in. Because I do actually use my calculator all the time.
See?
So.
Yep. I use Siri now to tell me to do my math for me. I don't even waste time typing it in. I just ask my digital assistant to do it.
I'll say, what's my postal code? So I forget. It'll just tell me. Or I'll say, like, as I'm typing, I'll say, what is 30 times 97? It'll say, I'll just keep typing. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, unfortunately.
It's pretty easy. Siri's a lot smarter than I am. Huh. Do either of you have anything else you'd like to add this week? We're running out of time, but just in case there's anything else.
A quick update, the Hong Kong app that was rejected has now been approved. So that's in the App Store. Still no idea what happened, but I usually chalk things up to, what is it? Never ascribe to malice what you can ascribe to incompetence. Usual saying.
Yep. But it's usually a whoopsie.
Yeah, it's in the store now.
Yep. And probably the Amazon Prime Video app is going to have the same whoopsie situation happen too. So
whoopsies.
All right. So it has been another week of the iMore show where we were talking all about Apple products. I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to Jim Metzendorf for all the wonderful voicing that he's doing for us. Jim, you've got a little bit of work today. I don't know if you noticed, I'm pretty nasally today, so you're going to have to adjust my volume a little, make me sound better. And thank you, of course, Georgia, to you for jumping on every week and making our podcast sound so wonderful. If people want to find you on the internet, where can they find you?
You can send me an email, Georgia at iMore.com. You can also check out anxiety-videos.com, and I'm every once in a while on Twitter.
And Renee, if people want to
find me at Renee Ritchie. You can find me at iMore.com/vector or youtube.com/vector, or just helping Lori as best I can.
And if you want to find me on the internet, you can find me at Appaholic on Twitter, APPAHOLIK, and at Lori Gill at most of the other social things. Thanks to everybody who hopped into our live feed on YouTube. We try to meet every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We always post in Twitter when we're about to go live, so keep an eye out for that if you want to join us. We don't always answer all the questions that you have, but we do keep an eye on them. When we get a chance, we drop them in there. So thanks for chatting with us and appearing every week. It's great to see all of you jump in and say hello. So next week, if you want to join us on Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And thanks again to everybody who's listening. We love you. You're our favorites. Have a great week and happy iMoring. Okay, goodbye.
This was the iMore show.
We have failed you for the last time.